Hello and welcome back to the Off-Grid family. Today is going to be a joint video between the boss and the person who thinks they are the boss. You can decide who is the actual boss. This video is going to be about the yield of shop brought chitting potatoes and normal potatoes from a shop that we've chit in. Does that make sense? Come closer and I'll explain a bit more. Right, so this is what I actually mean. These are seed potatoes that are shop brought. And these are potatoes that I've brought for family meals, but we are chitting these. So what are chitting potatoes? Eyes will form and they'll grow into these, and each bit that comes off, once planted in soil over the months, will grow potatoes which we can eat. Right, so the next step for these potatoes is they're going to be stored in a dark room. I've just got them out of the dark room now to show you. Some people like to put them in some sunlight, so set to sprout in a light, cool, frost-free place, so windowsills and stuff like that, but I've always just put them in a dark place and they've seemed to get a good yield like that. So for these, I'm going to keep them consistent. They are going to be in a dark room. These ones have had about a month or so now, so they've got a little while to go yet, so these are going to go back in there now. Right, over to James for the next bit.
Right, okay, so my bit is I'm going to make a place for growing the potatoes. And this is going to be a very simple project. It's all going to be out of recycled materials. All you're going to need is a saw and a drill. I actually used an electric circular saw, but it doesn't matter, anything that will chop a bit of wood. And as I say, it's all recycled, even the screws I'm using. And this is something that will last a couple of seasons, maybe a little bit more, but it doesn't have to be neat. It just functions. And it is very, very simple because you only need two sizes and that's it. Before I go any further, I'd just like to thank David, my Patreon. I've got a lot of early access stuff for you to look at and a lot of behind the scenes stuff. If you'd also like to be part of that, then head on over to Patreon. Links are in the description and you'll be able to see all of the bits and bobs you're missing out on. Anyway, let's get on. Okay, so for each layer, you're going to need 4 pieces of wood, which will be the sides of each basket, each layer, and these can be any size you like. The bigger they are, the more soil, like the more surface area you'll have. I tend to do them about this, which is a little bit over 2 foot maybe. And then you need some other pieces of wood that are going to be the locking mechanism. When we place this on top of the next layer, this will sort of lock into the sides of each corner. And then you can put another one on top, and so on. To make sure I did this correct each time, I made myself this little jig. And all this does is butts up against the thing, as long as I make sure that it's right up against the edge. And now I can clamp my piece of wood in here. And I know that that's the exact place that I need it for all of them. And again, all I did was took my piece of wood, placed it down, and then worked out where I wanted this butted up against it. And if you have a look, if I move that out of the way and I plonk this in, it will be the same distance. I did just knock it. So basically this is just that length, as in the same distance as if I put this here. And then this piece of wood here is just the rough amount I wanted this down from the top. Now you need this down from the top, and I'm going to try and explain this in English, but I will obviously show you. When you place the one above into this one, they lock into each other like this. And so it holds itself there, if that makes sense. And then this one locks into the one below, and so on. Right, so first off, I need to place this in, plonk that in, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clamp this in place and drill a hole, well, from this side, into this, and then place a screw in. I'm using all recycled material. These are old bits of pallet. These are old posts I found that I've cut up. This is cut to the same width of thereabouts as this. And then it's placed halfway down so that the other one will halfway and plonk into on top. But it's all sort of rough measurements. None of this is done to any specification. And also I'm using all recycled screws, stuff I got out of an old cabinet. This won't last years and years. Well, I might do in 2 or 3 years maximum, I would have said. With what I'm using, I'm not using outdoor screws. I'm using wood that's already a little bit gone past its sort of usefulness. I couldn't use this on anything nice in the house, that kind of thing, no matter how much planing and sanding I did. But you could make these that would last, you know, some years, but you just have to use newer wood and better purpose for purpose screws. But anyway, I'm going to clamp this in place and I'll be back in a second. On the jig, the back side of the jig, I've added a little line so it tells me where the end of this post is. And there is actually already 2 holes, because obviously these are old pallets. So that was obviously where a nail came out. So I can choose either the smaller hole or the bigger hole. And just put the screw in there. So let's do that. Okay, the bigger hole has something in it, probably a bit of an old nail, so I'll go in the smaller one. Now, I'm just trying to show you how I'm doing this, but I would never normally just hold it and so on, but I'm trying to get it all on camera. That'll do. I will screw it in properly in a second. But that's the basic concept. So now I'm going to do that to all the 3 other pieces, or all of the pieces eventually. But I'll just do it on these 3 pieces and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so once you've got 4 that are done, if you start looking at putting them together, they will all go in a beautiful square with one of these in each of the corners. I'm going to set it up with a device I use for things like this, which is called the corner mate. Right, now I'm going to screw in just 1 screw on each side. I may use a nail in each one as well later on just to give it some stability, but I'm not sure. This is, as I say, one of those projects where I'm just sort of putting it together and seeing what's needed later on. I've got a whole bunch of recycled nails I could use if it needs be, so we'll see. Okay, and there you go, all done and dusted. Now let's get another one and see if they join like they're supposed to. There you go, and they can keep going up and up and up and up and up, as deep as you actually want. Right, I've got about 1 million more of them to do, back in a bit. Okay, I don't talk about my health very often, but I've had a bit of a rough time of it this year. And so we planted all the potatoes, did all that sort of thing, and we got a boatload of potatoes back out. And all of that was supposed to have been recorded, but my health had taken a major turn for the worst and I wasn't recording anything. Thus, I haven't had a video out for maybe 3 months. So there is no recording of the children picking the potatoes, which is a bit sad. I wanted to show you, you know, how useful these potato things can be, but it just wasn't the case. But just know that, you know, it grew them really well. We were able to keep on top of adding more soil, and they grew up to, I think it was 2 layers from the top. So they did really well, and we got quite a good yield from every single one. So, you know, very useful, very easy to make, and very, very cheap. Anyway, I hope that helped you, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
Another thing that I want to mention is that they were... Oh my gosh, I really thought that was a spider then. You might have actually seen the fear in my... Oh no. Literally pooed my pants.